Hey everybody. Today I'd like to do a tutorial on APA levels of heading. And it's easier if I did it this way instead of on Educreations, because then you'll be able to see the format in a Word document. In any case, I'd like to get started with just a quick review on why we use APA levels of heading. And it's very, very simple, actually. It's mostly for the reader, and so it delineates between major topics within the Lit Review and the research proposal. And it's also used for organization, so that every time you switch a topic, the reader knows exactly what you're about to talk about. And it's also for you, as a writer, if you have some semblance of topics laid out that, go back to trying to answer your question and problem, and so you won't get lost. It's harder to get lost if you have a really good outline. And so basically, I just want to go over the format, right? Because APA is a formatting style, which just simply means that there's a certain way to do things, okay? Certain way to cite, certain way to reference, etc. And so APA levels of heading are similar to that. They have a certain style. Now, I don't want you to think too much into this. APA outline is almost identical to a regular, I like to call it old school run-of-the-mill outline. The only difference is the formatting, right? So in a regular run-of-the-mill formatting, you would have like Roman numeral, followed by an A, followed by a little a, or is it a 1, followed by a little a, that sort of thing, okay? So in a regular run-of-the-mill outline, these would be considered different levels, and they're all under the main level, Roman numeral 1. Taking that concept and converting it into an APA outline, instead of showing the reader what level it is from a number, using a number or a letter, we're just going to use certain characteristics like bold, capitalization, and position within the paper. So those are the three things that you want to pay attention to as far as formatting is concerned. The fact that it's probably most likely bold, capitalization, and punctuation, and location. Okay? Alright, so as a really easy example, I find that students get this concept using a really just very primitive, simple idea. So what I'm going to talk about is my trip to Toronto, and basically give you an outline of my trip in Toronto. So the first thing I would have to do is come up with a title, and I could easily say my weekend spent in Toronto, and that would be my title. Titles in APA are level 1 headings. Okay, so coming back to, we've got level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The ones that you are going to use most likely are levels 1 through 3. So those are the only ones that you really need to pay attention to. You won't go any further than that. Okay, so a level 1 heading is, the format for that is centered, bolded, and each letter, each first letter, the first letter of each word is capitalized. Just like you can see here. My weekend spent, of course, in wouldn't be capitalized, Toronto. Easy. Okay, so a level 1 heading, the format for that is this. Cool? All right, so now I'm going to move on to a level 2 heading. And basically a level 2 heading has to go back and fit underneath this level 1 heading. Fit underneath my title, essentially. Okay, and if I'm talking about my weekend, there are certain days in the weekend. So I would think that these days of the weekend would go as level 2 headings, right? Because in a normal outline, it would go, you know, my weekend in Toronto, and then for A, B, and C, I would say Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So using this concept of the old school outline, I've basically taken my level 1, which would be represented by Roman numeral 1, changed the format, and brought it down to a level 1 heading in APA style. Now I want to take my level 2 heading, my level 2 represented by the capital letter A, and bring that down and make it a level 2 heading. So, a level 2 heading is flush left for the position, right? The location, position. Flush left. Each word, the first letter of each word is capitalized also, and it's bolded. So the only difference between a level 1 heading and a level 2 heading formatting wise is that it's flush left and not centered. What makes it a level 2 heading is that it falls underneath my main header, my weekend in Toronto. Okay, so I'm not changing main topic ideas, I'm staying underneath the same topic, and so therefore Friday would fall. Following with that, we're going to go Saturday and Sunday. Okay, now these still aren't that great. Okay, the purpose of a level of using headings is to let the reader know exactly what's going to be in that topic. So in order to do that, I need to get a little bit more specific with it. So I would say Friday, I guess in Toronto, or Friday would be driving, Friday spent driving to Toronto. Saturday would be Saturday spent what did I do on Saturday? Spent being a tourist. How's that? Being a tourist. And then Sunday would be Sunday spent driving home from Toronto. Make sense? So you can see that it's flush left, bolded, and each letter is capitalized. And it's a level 2 because it falls under my weekend spent in Toronto. So going back up here, it would fall under capital A, capital B, and capital C. So from there, remember I said you guys would use APA up to level 3s. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do a level 3 heading. And a level 3 heading, we'll start with the location or position. The position is tabbed once, bolded, and only the first letter of each word is capitalized. Okay. For punctuation, we are adding a punctuation now. There is a period following the header. The text begins here. Okay, so as an example of that, Friday spent driving to Toronto. If I wanted to break that down more, I would say, 5-hour trip. Oops. And if I wanted to break it down again, I would say my experience with customs. And if I wanted to break it down further than that, I would talk about, it's kind of hard to do it kind of like on the fly. It's okay, so we'll leave it like that. Now, if you notice that the level 3 headings, we see the position is tabbed over once. Only the first letter is capitalized. It's still bolded, but now we've added punctuation, so a period. When I say that the text begins here, let me see, 5-hour trip to the border. And technically, if I were to do that, then this would become a level 4. So I'm because my experience with customs would probably fall under the header border. So I'm going to change that to 6-hour trip, 7-hour trip total to Toronto. And then I would immediately begin my text here. So I'm going to take bold off, and I'm going to say, left at 11 a.m. was supposed to leave at 9, so my trip was, postponed. Not only that, I have the bladder of a 3-year-old, so that tacked on, so bathroom breaks added an hour, 1 hour. I mean, and I wasn't even trying to use correct grammar or anything like that. Basically, I was just trying to show you where the text begins. Okay. And on a level 3 heading. For the level 2 heading, your text begins normally. You just start a paragraph. So you would start it like printed off the map to the hotel in Toronto, made plans to leave early, etc. Okay? Moving down here, if I wanted to further talk about my Saturday trip, break it into sections for the reader. Saturday spent being a tourist, I would say 8 at Jack's Grill and Bar. Level 3 heading supposed to be bolded. I went to, attended a lecture presentation on education. Mobilization in higher education. Okay, that sort of thing. And then Sunday, if I wanted to break that down even more, I would say, worked out at the gym first before trip. Then made a pit stop in Niagara Falls. And then again, I had a great experience with customs. So actually this one I probably didn't need to include because it doesn't technically fall under Sunday spent driving home, right? I hadn't driven home yet if I'm at the gym. Okay, so Sunday spent driving home would be made a pit stop in Niagara Falls, and then of course my experience with customs. All right, so this is, like I said, very dumbed down version of what your papers will look like. And so to give you an idea, this would be centered. Level 1 would be centered, bolded. The first letter of each word is capitalized. Each word is capitalized. APA level 2 is flush left. And then APA level 3 is tabbed over once, bolded, and then there's a period following, and then the text begins immediately after the period. Okay, so let me just pull up a paper. Maybe I have a paper lying around somewhere to show you guys exactly what I mean here. Organizational creativity audit. No. How about let's go into Dropbox. Okay, so here's an example. Let me just make this a little bit. Okay, so here you can see I have the title, right? The title is a level 1 heading. Then I have my introduction. There is no heading for an introduction. So don't say introduction here, okay? Because in APA it's implied. Then I would have another level 1 heading if I chose. And I'm separating, this is about the relationship between leadership styles at 4 Cleveland Clinic Regional Nuclear Medicine Departments. So at 4 Cleveland Clinic Regional Nuclear Medicine Departments, what I would probably want to do, and this is what I did, is I broke up my level 1 headings, my main topics, by hospital. So my first one is Lakewood Hospital, and that leadership style. That's a level 1 heading. From there, I went into level 2 headings, and I've got 2 of them. Okay? So no level 3 headings here. My second hospital is Euclid Hospital with a human relations approach to leadership. And then from there, I had a level 2 and a level 2. Okay? Level 1, level 2, and on down the list. Then we move on to materials and methods. Right? So materials and methods is a level 1 heading. And then followed from that would be a level 2. Results is a level 1. Discussion is a level 1. Conclusion is a level 1. References and appendices. Okay? So that actually brings me to another point. References, tables and figures, references, and appendices all go at the very end of the paper. So don't try and put them anywhere within the paper, okay? Because that kind of clogs it up a bit. And what you really need to do is reference it in the text. And I'll go over that later on in the semester. But I hope that this kind of gives you a general idea of what your outlines will look like. They're going to basically look like this. Okay, you may choose to include text. You don't have to. I'm not going to look at the text, any of the research that you've performed. I'm just going to look at and make sure that these formats are correct. So to review one more time, a level 1 heading corresponds to what you've probably done in the past as a Roman numeral 1. And that is formatted, centered, bolded, each letter is capitalized. A level 2 heading falls under the level 1. And that is represented by by letter A, capital letter A. Okay, and that's flush left. Each letter is capitalized, and it's bolded. And then finally, if I wanted to break down the level 2s even more, the level 3 corresponds to the number 1, and it is tabbed over once. Only the first letter is capitalized except for proper nouns. There's a period at the end, and text begins here. Okay? If you want to incorporate another level 1 heading, it would correspond to Roman numeral 2, and so on and so forth. So this is just a very, very dumbed down version of what I'm looking for with your APA outlines. Please let me know if you have any questions. Try not to read too much into this. Now, I will tell you that in order to complete this assignment, you will have to start beginning your research, because you won't know what you want to talk about or what your different headers are and main topics are until you start performing the research and figure out where you want to go with your literature review. Okay, so that's it. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.